Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and tonight I decided to go live because I've been having a lot of issues with storage and some other things. Of course, I have to get on that, but lately God has been telling me to rest, so I have been resting. And so tonight's video is going to be called Go Bigger. And the reason why I'm calling this Go Bigger is because God has been working on me from the inside out. He's been allowing me to see like my flaws, the things that I need to work on, things that I need to do better. And it is really making me start to self reflect. It's really making me start to really acknowledge my flaws and see them for what they are, and not to just push people away, not to just think, oh, I'm just perfect and I never make mistakes. It's really making me see the areas in my life where I could be stronger in. And in order for me to do that, I have to be willing to do some self reflection. I have to be willing to hear God. And it's funny because today I was thinking, oh my gosh, I was, I'm just being transparent. I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this one thing. And I invite a few people and, my daughter, we go to this place and everything's taken care of just like that. And I know you're probably thinking, well, you always have a story like this. No, this is everybody's story. That person that pays for you in line before you and just says pay it forward. The person who does something nice for you and says, you know what, I'll cover lunch today. The person who puts gas in your car. The things that people do that you don't even acknowledge. And it is a complete blessing, are all blessings that are given to you. So it's not just me, it's just the fact that I'm willing to recognize it. It's the fact that I'm willing to be thankful and grateful for every single opportunity, everything that God allows in my life. And so as I was sitting there and everything was taken care of, the first thing I wanted to do was just be like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, I really wanted to just put up this wall. I wanted to be like, no, like, this isn't something that someone should do. I just want to be able to take care of it on my own. I want to be able to do all of these things by myself. And I could just feel in my spirit, like, just accept this. Like, I know you want to do everything on your own. I know that you feel like you can handle the weight of the world on your shoulders. I know you feel like you just have to deal with whatever it is alone. And it's funny because God always has to remind me that He's always with me. He is with us always. It's nothing that we're going through in life that we can't talk to God about. It's nothing that we're going through in life that could be a big deal to us, but small to other people. But to God, it matters because we matter to God. And so I always try to think about what it is that God wants from me. I try to think about the things that God would want for me to do in that situation, or WWJD. What would Jesus do? I don't even think people say that anymore, but I even have a necklace that says WWJD, and I just wear it just because, I'm that person. And so so today I just did like a little like down look, I have like the I love you scarf thing that I put on all my hats so that it adds like a little extra. So I just added like this is like a bodysuit, some medium wash jeans. I did the tan hat and I just pulled it backwards because I'm like, no one else is going to wear their hat backwards. So I just decided to do that. Then I had my tan booties on with like the wooden heel. And so I did that. And then the gold jewelry just to kind of like pull it all together with the gold, and then the gold earrings and whatever else. And so I just do these type of things just to be like a little different because I like to have my own style. And even though it's a t-shirt and jeans, I still want it to be me. I still want to add something else to it. And so it's funny because I always say this in like the past couple videos or so, that everything in my life that I thought would be one way have turned out totally different. And it seems like such a blessing because like the people that I thought that I would be with, that God allowed to move on in their life, or the people in their life that God allowed to be removed from my life for whatever reason, because He knew that there was someone else that was grace for me, or He knew that I wasn't grace for that person, is such a blessing. And it's so weird because when you're in that space, you start to think, oh my gosh, it just sucks so much that I can't be with this person. It sucks so much that that didn't work out. And we start to think of things in like the lack, like we're missing out on something because something was removed from our lives. But I'm learning lately that if God's removing something, it's because He has something better for us. And not that one person is better than the other. I always have to clarify this. But there's other people that are actually grace for you, and this person might not be it, you know? And then not only that, but you could be willing to settle in one area or another thinking, okay, well, they're not perfect and they don't do this thing, but they do all of these other things. And the person that God placed in your life could do so much more. They could be the type of person who gives you that and other things that you didn't even know you needed. Are they going to be perfect? Absolutely not, because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect but God. And so I would never expect anyone to be perfect. I also know that when God removes something for your life, it's always for your benefit. It's never because he wants to harm you. It's never because he wants you to feel badly. It's never because he wants to make you feel as if you're at lack of anything. He's doing it because he wants to bless you with more. And today, when I was thinking about like the things that God inserted in my life, it really helped me see how blessed I really am and how God inserted certain people in my life so that I wouldn't have to go through this season alone. And I know alone is all in one, and I am all in one. And it is nice to be all together as well with others. And so in a season of my life where I felt like, okay, I'm missing out or I'm losing this thing, which is not a loss, it's a gain because I gained knowledge about myself. I learned more about the other person. I learned about the things that I do and don't want. I learned about my intentionality. I learned about my standards. I learned about the type of woman that I want to represent myself as, the type of woman of God that I want to be, I want to show in the world. Like I don't want to show someone that's spiteful or jealous or unfocused. I don't want to show someone that is settling for something less than what I deserve, than what God's best is for me. And so it has really taught me a lot because when you get healed, you feel like I'm just going to make all the right decisions. I'm never going to settle for anything ever again. But when you start to like someone, sometimes you feel like, and this is just for me, maybe there's some real strong women who just never settle for anything less. They always are on it. I'm not always on it. I have more stuff going on in my life than a person. And so when I'm focused on my business and other stuff, some stuff slips through the cracks, not intentionally because I feel like I don't deserve more, but because my mind isn't focused on somebody else, it's focused on me. And so I'm really learning that if I want to intentionally get to know someone, if I intentionally am allowing someone to be a part of my life, if God has given me a yes, then I have to be intentional with my standards. I have to be intentional of what I'm listening to. Like if they're talking to me, I can't be focused on what my next business move is. I need to take that time and pay attention to what the person is saying because they might be telling me something that could be a red flag. They could be telling me something that is what they truly desire or what they truly want. They could be telling me something that is really making, it's our what we want is not lining up. And so you have to be vigilant. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of the person that you're talking to or getting to know. And you have to know what their intentions are. And if you're lucky, you'll meet some people who will be honest with you. And I did not expect that. But whenever I meet someone who is super honest about what it is that their intentions are, what it is that they want, regardless if I agree with it or not. If that's not what I'm looking for, it is what it is. But regardless if I agree with it or not, I respect the mess out of somebody who is willing to be upfront and honest and tell me what their intentions are without playing a game. And I'm not saying there won't be tests or there won't be other things that happen, but it's something about a person who can just be honest. And I'm not saying they got to tell me their whole life story, but that is so funny because people will surprise you. They really will. And if you let them, and you just have to give them enough space to be able to either be about it or not, you know? And so it's so funny. It is so hilarious because you could think, like, I have in my mind when I meet certain people, I'll be like, they're going to be like this, and this. And then every time they're not like that at all. They're always different. It's always someone who is more of this and less of this. It's always someone who I think is going to be like this, but they're really like that. It's always someone that I expect to do these things, but they don't do any of those things. And I don't mean that like as a dig to anybody. I just mean like in our mind as women, I don't know if men do this as well, but we have this like, I don't want to say expectation, but we have this like fantasy, I guess, about what it is that we want. And instead of us thinking about the things that the other person wants, we are focused on what we want. And it is not allowing us to get to know the person because we already have an idea of who they are without finding out who they are, without letting them be themselves. And so I think it's really important for us to let people be who they are. You can't change who they are. You can't make somebody like you. You can't make somebody be intentional about their relationship with you. Either they're with it or they're not. And if they really value you as a person, they want you in their life. And it's not to say that you're not valuable. It's to say that they might not be in that position in their life. They might not be at a point in their life where they want something like that. It could be anything. And for women, I just really want you to know that, like, please don't take it personal, because we got this ego thing too that we don't like to acknowledge that we have. And so if someone's not interested, we're like, why wouldn't they want me? That sounds so egotistical, but you know how you feel when that happens. You're like, he wants her? Really? Like, listen, this woman is grace for him. It's nothing personal. It's nothing wrong with you. The man for you, that's grace for you, that God has for you, is going to appreciate everything about you. He's going to appreciate your flaws and your complexion, your hair, everything that it is that the other person didn't value is going to be what the person that's grace for you is going to be looking for. That's going to be the one thing that they want in their life. So for you, for me too, I'm talking to myself in these videos because I want to make sure I keep myself on track. I'm not trying to be all over the place. I want to stay direct and focused on the things that God has for me in my life and the trajectory of where I'm headed in my life. I know what my purpose is. I know what my focus is. I know what my goals are. I know that I'm seeking God. And so that's where my focus is. It's not on what all of these other people are doing. It's not on what anybody else wants, or don't want. It's what God wants for my life. And I continue to focus straight ahead on the narrow path, the path that God has set forth for me. It's not about me being somebody else for someone else. I'm being the best me for myself because I want to prove to God that I'm a better person than I used to be. Because since He graced me, because since He saved me, since I gave my life to Him, I want him to know that he didn't make a mistake. I want him to know that I'm really about that God life. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not trying to be out here just wasting my life, wasting the time that God has given me. I want to take in every single moment. I want God to use everything, every hurt that I felt, every pain that I went through, every trial, every tribulation, every storm, everything that I've been through in my life. I want God to use it for my purpose. I want him to use it for the benefit of the kingdom. I want him to use it to help someone else grow in their relationship with God. I want him to use it so that my testimony could be a blessing to somebody else and maybe change their life. I want to use it to change the world. And in order for me to do that, I need to be focused. And like I was going to say before I went into this whole tangent, whenever someone doesn't like something about you, please don't change who you are for somebody else. That's not grace for you anyways. Please don't change. Like if you are a person that talks a lot and somebody says, you talk too much, listen, you could say, okay, I need to maybe listen to what other people say. But don't change the fact that you love to talk because somebody else couldn't see that was a blessing. Because maybe they have trouble talking and you talking helps fill the conversation. Like don't change. Let's say somebody said, well, I like women with a shape like this and your shape is like that. Don't change your shape for somebody that's not even grace for you. This man isn't even your husband, and you're about to change yourself. And then the man that is your husband isn't even going to recognize you because God said that you were going to look a certain way, talk a certain way, and be a certain way. And you're none of those things because you have changed into somebody that someone else wanted you to be. You are not being real to yourself. You're not being real with yourself. You're not being who you authentically are. And I truly feel like, and I'm not in a relationship. So I say that because I want people to understand that, hey, I'm saying this from just like what my conversations with God and, what my ideal, like, this is like the picture that I would think of what it would be like. And I just feel like when God graces somebody for you, he knows you inside and out. He knows every hair on your head. So he's not trying to get you to look like somebody else's hair, and it's nothing wrong with extensions or wigs or anything. I'm not getting on any of that. I just mean like if you, for me, I wear curly hair. Well, I wear my hair all types of different ways. You didn't see me with braids. You see me with my hair straight in a wig. You see me with my hair straightened for real. You've seen me with curly hair that's this length, curly hair that's this length, and curly hair that's this length. And no, I haven't cut my hair. The shrinkage is real. Like it's just because I have 4C, 4B hair or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It's just curly. It's kinky curly. And so I could wash it, I could condition it, I could put my Eco Styler gel or whatever on it, and some days it'll look like this, some days it'll look like this, some days it'll look like this. It just depends on what the hair wants to do. I have no control over this at all. And so the guy might be saying, "Oh, I want a girl who has blonde hair." I'm not going to have blonde hair. My husband wants me to have this color hair. So I'm going to stick to what I know, what I like, what I'm going to do with my hair. The only color that I might change my hair, and it won't be for somebody else, it'll just be because I wanted to change, would be a sun-kissed brown, or I would do a burgundy. That's it. I'm not about to turn my hair blonde and damage my hair for somebody else, you know. And I'm just saying that not because I'm trying to get on people, but because I want to be true to myself. This is who I am. And so if I'm the type of person who loves caring about people, if I'm the type of person who wants to be a woman of God, if I'm the type of person who loves serving other people, if I'm the type of woman who loves learning new things, I'm not going to all of a sudden pretend like I don't know anything because I'm with somebody who wants me to be not smart, or someone who's not well educated, or someone who doesn't love to read. Like he might say, "Oh, books are boring. I hate women that go to the library." Listen, if you open a library door, I'm going to act like I'm walking into the mall because it's going to be like, what book am I going to get now? Like I get excited. And so that's my thing. And you either love it or you don't. I can't pretend like I don't love to read just because you think it's boring. You might not like reading. The person who's grace for me might not like reading. Maybe I like reading. Maybe we write a book together. I don't know. But, you don't have to love reading to write. I'm just saying. And so I think it's really important for you to just be yourself. I know people say that all the time, and you're like, it's easy for you to say because you're not looking for anybody. Listen, I'm not looking. Like, I see people now, which is weird because before I was so focused, I never even noticed people. Like, now I actually see people around places, and I'm like, oh, there's people there. But yeah, like, and sometimes I still don't notice, but I'm a little more aware of what's going on around me. And so I can notice like these little subtle changes. And I guess because before I was like, absolutely not. I'm not ever being with anybody ever again, you know. And then I don't know what happened. It's like life just took over and it made me start to feel like maybe, just maybe. I was about to say the Grinch like whole saying, but I'm not gonna get into that. And so that's how I would be. And I just can feel God changing pieces of me little by little. Like I'm more outgoing now. I'm more like social now. I'm more, more of who I always wanted to be, but I just always felt like I couldn't be that person. I'm more sure of the things that I want in life. Like I don't feel like, I don't know if I really want that or not. I'm like, I want this, this, and this. This is what I want for sure, 100%. Like I'm absolutely for certain. And if there's someone in the past or something like that, someone will say, "Oh, have you considered going out with this person? Would you consider being with this person again?" And I will say, "Absolutely not." And some people think it's harsh, but I know what I want. And I don't want that, and I don't mean it in like I'm trying to push it in their face or, any shade to them at all, because the people who are grace for them are going to love them. I just feel like for me, what I want is what I want. I know what it is that I want in my life, and God knows what I need. So us together, like it's going to be all right. And so I just try to stay focused on being myself, being the best version of myself, staying focused on God, seeking Him first above everything else in the world, above any car, house, clothes, person, anything that there could possibly be, materialistic or just an individual person, family member, friend, whatever. God is number one. He's the first person I seek so that I know what direction I need to head in life. Because at one season, like the pastor said, I might need to be more, there with my daughter, just making sure that she has everything that she needs. And I'll do that anyways. But, I might have to be more in tune with her. In another season, the person who's grace for me might need more attention for some reason, or my job might need more attention, or my purpose might need more attention. But it just depends on where God's directing me and where He needs me to focus my attention at that time. And it's not saying that I would neglect anything else. I'm just saying that that's where my guide is. That's where my path is. And so I'm staying focused on the path that God set forth for me. I'm not focused on anything else. And so as I was sitting there today and God blessed me, I mean, He really blessed me. He took care of everything, everything. And I was so like, I wasn't worried, but I was just like, God, I want to be able to do this thing, but I don't know how I can at this season of my life, because I really thought that I would start something else. I thought that I would be in another position at this point, and I'm not there. I'm not there, and I know you're going to work everything out, but just tell me what I need to do. And God keeps saying, just be still, rest, stop, stop doing stuff. Earlier today, I try to work on some post stuff after God told me to rest, and God's like, you need to rest. And I'm like, okay, God, and everything that I tried to do, it didn't work. I tried to do some content stuff. None of the stuff would post, none of the stuff would upload, which is why I'm on live right now, because nothing came up. And so I had to continuously do that in order to be able to get those things to work out the way that they were supposed to. And God, like if I would have listened to God, I would be in the same position, because none of the stuff posted. So I could have just done it the other way and then went on about my business like I was supposed to. And so I just think it's so funny, because God will do some incredible things in your life if you let Him. And I think the thing that holds up most people is that we're trying to do things on our own. We're trying to do it without God. We're trying to hustle and bustle and just hustle hard, grind hard. We're trying to do all of this stuff to get the things that God already set aside for us. We are literally exhausting ourselves doing something that God is supposed to be doing. And I'm not saying be lazy. I always have to say this. I'm saying that you put forth an effort, because faith without works is dead. I'm saying that you do what you need to do, and God will handle the rest. You do what you need to do with yourself, with working on educating yourself, with working on spending time with God, with reading your Bible, with praying, with fasting if that's what you're doing, with your body. You are working out, you're eating healthy, you're taking care of your teeth, you're going to the dentist, you're going to the doctor for checkups. You are making sure that you are taking new classes or learning new skills. You're doing things to advance and grow yourself. And because you are being obedient to God, because you are serving, because you are being intentional, God is taking care of everything else. Every time you take a step forward, God is taking 4 forward ahead of you, already making a path, because He knows that you're going in the right direction. That's why when you veer off, it's harder for you, and it takes longer for you to get back to where you're supposed to be. And it's funny, because God introduced this person into my life, or introduced this person, and told me a few things that kind of was like, I was like, okay. And at the time, I was afraid. And I just kind of felt like, oh my gosh, if I do this now, it's like indefinite. Why did I say it like that though? And God's like, listen, either you want the blessing or you don't. Because if you don't want it, somebody else does. And I'm like, no, I want it. I might have got a little afraid. And He's like, fear is not of God. Like, you need to be fearless. I know, like, it might feel like you don't know what's about to happen, or you might be concerned because of the past, but you need to allow me to work on your behalf. You need to allow me to be able to do the things that you couldn't do. You need to be able to stay focused on me so that I can take care of everything else. And I can't do that unless you release those things to me. Release that concern to me. Release those things that are on your mind. Release anything that's burdening you or anything that's making you feel like a little like concern, worry, any tension that you feel. Give it to me and I'll take care of the rest. And I was talking to God when I was in the car, when I was thanking him for all the things that he blessed me with today. And he was like, what do I want? And I'm like, he always asks me that a lot. And I was just like, I want this. I want this, this, and this. And God said, think bigger. I was like, hold up, God. What do you mean think bigger? Because in my mind, that was a lot that I was asking for. That was a lot that I wanted in my life. And if God is saying he can do more than that, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to try so hard not to cry. But, you know, when you mess up and you make mistakes in your life, it really makes you feel like you don't deserve anything. Like even me being able to breathe is a blessing because it's God's grace and mercy. Every time that I get another opportunity to be better than I was the day before is a complete blessing. Every time I get an opportunity to see my family and my friends or talk to people over the phone or, you know, whatever else is a complete blessing. And so anything else that God gives me is just like, oh my gosh, you know, it always amazes me how God comes through. And even when I was going through one of the most difficult times in my life, God made sure that I had people surrounding me to help me. God made sure that when, you know, my heart was broken, that I was able to have someone else there who would, they don't even know that they did this, but he just allowed people to be entered into my life that made me feel like I wasn't missing anything, you know, and it's not like it's something huge or anything like that. You know, even just friends are like such a blessing and they really come through at the appointed time, at the correct time. And God is always on time. And sometimes we hear that saying and we think it's so cliche and we're like, okay, everybody says he's an on time God. Yes, he is. And it's because it's true because he really is on time. Like I could be thinking, oh, I don't see how this is going to work out. And just like that, God's like, bam. And I'm like, oh snap, you know, like I knew you was gonna come through, and I know that you're God, but I didn't know you was gonna come through like you're coming through right now. And every time he does it, it's just such a blessing for me. It is like the most amazing thing that I could have ever imagined in my life. And so I'm not gonna make this video too long. I'm gonna do, you know, the whole closeout thing. So in conclusion, when it comes to the things that you want in your life that you are asking for God for, think bigger because you would be surprised what God can do in your life. He can do anything. He can do exceedingly and abundantly above anything that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. So don't ever feel like you are asking too much. I know people say be content with where you are. Yes, absolutely be content with where you are. Be content with the things that you're doing. Be content with the people who are in your life. Be content with the things that you already have in your life. And also ask for more. Because my God can do exceedingly and abundantly above anything that I could ever ask, think, or imagine. And even though we don't see it, faith is the hope of things that are unseen. So always remember that. Always be true to who you are and focus on God.